All right, so pretty much everybody struggles to deal with this high tensile steel wire. Especially this is the 180,000 PSI wire, and it is just tough to deal with. I'd recommend getting 170,000. It's a lot easier to deal with, but it's hard to find. Timeless Fence has some. You can order it and have it shipped. Get yourself a good pair of pliers. These, I don't even know what these are. Mon Industries from England. These cutters are like bolt cutters. You can sure snip this stuff. A regular pair of pliers just doesn't cut it very good. You better have a strong grip, which I don't struggle with a weak grip issue, so I'll cut it with pliers, but you'll hurt your hand cutting through. So once you get it cut, don't look at our end post here. Sometimes we do stuff that we don't recommend other people do. And since we don't need to pull this fence super tight, I'm just gonna crank this around the corner about as hard as I can. And then here's the real important part. Watch this. Make yourself a handle, guys. You don't want a short little tail. You can't hang on to it. You gotta be able to pull to make it a tight wrap. So get yourself a handle over here, and then you're gonna pull in a circle. Don't just go around. Like this arm is pulling that way, and as I go, it's pulling this way hard. And I'm gonna hang on to this with my other hand and pull it back. And that keeps all the pressure on this wire right there. See how nice that is? And I can just keep going. I got the leverage on this. Most people's things are gonna end up looking like this. Just, you gotta put the pressure on in the right spot. That's what really makes a difference. You can see I was able to do that in all of mine, and all of my wire you're gonna see has the handle twisted into it. This one had a little handle on it. This one, the handle's wrapped around the post. And I can do all this with the high tensile wire because I use the leverage to my advantage. Here, let's do it again on the bottom one. Another thing about cutting it, you gotta cut square. If you're like this or like this, it's way harder to cut. You gotta cut square. So, we'll get this. Pull the slack out of this. This one's already pretty tight. Get me a little handle here. Hang on to this. It really helps when this is tight. If it's not like the first tie, like on the other end, I'd get somebody to hang on to this for me or step on it so it could stay tight. Make your handle. See, I'm pulling over the top, then I'm pushing. That puts all the force right there, and I can get nice tight wraps. And then I'll just tuck this over here so it doesn't get in the way. And if you need to unwrap this, just do the opposite. Come around, pull, and then you can get your thing to unwind. And if you do it right, it won't snap off on you, because that's an issue with high tensile wire. It's crazy tough and it does its job, but it's a little harder to deal with. Let me just hook these two together. There, now they'll be powered at the same time. And that's not really the right way to do it. Wraps aren't always a good enough connection. Split bolts or crimps are better, but I've got to do so many, and I'm on a kind of tight budget. So I've been wrapping, and I have a real powerful energizer, and it don't care, it just goes. So here's a couple tips on these. This is a spinning Jenny from Timeless Fence. It's not the best out there, but it's pretty good. You undo these bolts and slide it in. When you go to use them, this is our end here. So you'd take off down the fence, pull it on this, and your spinning jenny would unwind. Wind this back up. So the first thing you do when you get it on the spinning jenny is you get your things all pushed out. Then you need to find, I didn't even do this, which didn't cause me problems because I didn't need to use the whole thing. You got to find the inside end. They don't even, this is not even showing, which is bad. Find the inside end and wrap it around one of these bolts. Because at the very end, when you're 4,000 feet down the line, that little inside end will get caught, and you'll have to walk all the way back to untangle it to finish your fence. So always find the inside end and wrap it really tight around one of these bolts. The other thing you want to do is you want to pull really nice and smooth and evenly. No sudden starts and stops, because the spinning jenny will overspin a little bit when you're pulling, and when you stop, it'll keep spinning a little bit, and it can throw your loop off like that. Well, now you can't pull because it's stuck around the other side. Or worse, it'll throw it off the bottom, and you'll get stuck underneath, and then you'll have to walk all the way back. It always happens when you're at the far end. So nice and even pulls, slow stops, slow starts. And then you always want to spin counterclockwise. Because if things get stuck, if this spring gets stuck and you're spinning counterclockwise and it starts spinning this nut here, it'll loosen it for you. You don't want to get down to the far end and have this spring get jammed and start tightening this nut down, because then it just get harder and harder and harder and harder to pull. So I've had that happen on me a couple times. It might just be that it's not really the world's best spinning jenny, but I've used a whole bunch of these, and they all kind of the timeless ones, and they all kind of have that issue. So I think it's just kind of a deal with how their design is. And then you always want to tie off your ends and stuff so the whole thing doesn't start exploding while you're over there trying to tie off your fence or something. But there's some high tensile wire tips. Thanks for watching.